I want to show you something really cool, so just hang on just for a second. Many of you know that's been following my channel that I bought an old building, and in that old building I found a lot of old tools. Well, this belt sander is one that I found. It's an old Craftsman. It's all metal case. Everything about it speaks probably 60s. I've never used it yet, but I did take it apart and do some lubricating, and I tested it. It runs. I want to tell you what I did, and then we're going to sand on a board here. And I'll tell you and share with you in a moment why I want to get this sander going. The first thing I did was this sander was the right thing. I just plugged it in and tried it. It ran, but man, it had a squawk to it. So I took this cover off right here to see what the belt looked like. The belt was fine. I pulled the belt off and I tested just running the motor, and the motor actually was pretty quiet. It worked just fine, and the squawking quit. So right here's a gear that runs this belt, and on that there's a few screws holding a plate on. I took that out, and you can see the line right here. I pulled this plate off and I stuffed that full of grease. It was drier than an old boneyard in the middle of summer in the desert. I also sanded this a little bit to make this smooth. I did some lubricating in here. I pulled this plate out and lubricated the bearings on the motor and sanded the armature down. I had to pull the brushes out to do that. Now I want to plug this in for you and just show you what it sounds like without a belt on it. It still makes just a little bit of noise. But I'll tell you what, the sander's almost as old as I am. And I creak, it doesn't creak nearly as bad as I do. Let's see if we can't get a belt on it. Typically, putting belts on is this front will push down and lock into place. It locked into place, and again I say I did a lot of lubricating on that. You got to make sure you put these sanding belts on correctly. The thing runs like this because it wants to run away from you, I think. Yep, see that wheel goes like that. So let's slip this on. And this is the first time that this has been on in who knows how many years. And what you do is you just bump this just a little bit, and that's supposed to pop right into place, but boy, that is really crooked. So what that tells me is this screw right here, which adjusts the front angle of that pulley, needs to be screwed in just a little bit. Let's see what happens. Boy, that's really working off. I wonder if I got it actually backwards. Let's see what this does. Nope, that's, wow. I wonder if that's why it was on the shelf. It won't hold a sanding belt. Now we'll find out here in a minute. That's as far as it'll go. You know what? This wheel needs adjusted right there. There's some adjustment on those wheels. I wonder why that's popped out so far. Let me take a look at this a little closer. I believe I got it. this wheel right here was popped forward way too far, and I want to show you how this adjusts. See? All I'm doing is turning this here screw just a little bit, and you get it right where you want it, and it should stay on. But the test is going to be on this piece of wood right here. Let's just see how it's going to work. Get right down here where you can really see it. Look at that. I am extremely impressed. Thing really works good for an old piece of 2x6. I'm glad to add this tool to my arsenal of carpentry tools. This thing has a tremendous amount of life left in it. And one of the reasons I wanted to get it going is I'm going to show you that right now. An old friend of mine, he's 86 years old, is starting to clean out his garage, and he brought me these old irons. And he's painting them sometime during the years, but I want to make these actually usable again. And you can see the pits in the bottom of that. That's not functional like that. So what I wanted the sander for, since I don't have a milling machine, is to see if I couldn't sand that smooth. And I'm going to give that a whirl right now. Let's see what happens. Typically, in the past, when I've used a belt sander and wanted to use it for a bench sander, I would clamp this down with some wood clamps. I don't have them here right now, so I'm going to hold it. I'm going to hold it with one hand, and we're just going to test it to see if my idea is going to work. Yeah, it worked. Well, I'm glad you you thought I was gonna go and not show you. I pulled one on you. I'll show you what it did. It started, and it's got a long way to go, but I think it'll work. Look at that. Already starting to get smooth. No longer than I had it on there. It might take a couple of pieces of this sandpaper, but by golly, that's gonna work. Then I can do the same on the edges here. Clean all these rough edges up, and then I will clean the rest of this up just by cleaning. It's pretty clean now, and we'll just polish this like this will be shinier than a baby's hind end when we get done. What do you think? The old sander works pretty good. I'm happy about this. Another tool to my arsenal. If you got any comments about this old sander and the way I'm going to clean this old iron up, I would sure appreciate that. Let me know. I always read your ideas, and I'll tell you, you've given me a lot of good ones, even at my old age at 70. And I've been doing this for 50 years. Plus, if you like videos like what I've been bringing you, please subscribe to my channel if this has brought value to you. And again, if you like videos like this, watch these up here. I'm sure you'll enjoy them also. Can it be fixed? You're darn right it can be fixed, and you can do it. Until the next one.